on now, bro. All these pound for pound fighters are too scared to fight me. They need 200 million to do it.
I got 200 million for you. I'm fighting Jake Paul.
Pussy.
You fighting the best fighter in the world. You better be taking it seriously. You know, that goes to show, you know, how serious he's taking me and how.
Terence Crawford has shifted his stance on Jake Paul and his place in the sport, and with talk of Paul potentially stepping in as a replacement for Tank, he has admitted he would consider the bout if the situation makes sense. This is a noticeable change from his earlier comments, when he made it clear he did not view Jake Paul as someone who belonged in the ring with experienced professionals. However, the lure of a significant financial reward appears to have influenced his outlook. In the beginning, Crawford strongly disagreed with what Paul symbolized. Seeing a YouTuber enter boxing earn huge sums of money and challenge seasoned fighters who had dedicated their entire lives to the craft did not sit well with him. He once compared Paul to a showman, suggesting he was treating boxing like a spectacle instead of a serious sport. Crawford had been outspoken in claiming that Paul was undermining a discipline that requires patience, dedication, and years of sacrifice to truly understand.
Punch with that right hand. Like, I seen, you know what I mean, up close in person. Like, dude is big. He's not as slow as people think he is, and he can punch. You know, that's why a lot of people know, like, there was times where, you know, him and Tyson was.
Now, he has softened that position. His perspective has clearly evolved, and a level of acknowledgement is starting to show. During an appearance on Logan Paul podcast, Crawford openly said he had misjudged Jake. He admitted that Jake is in fact competing in boxing, and explained that in the beginning he opposed the idea. He recalled feeling frustrated when critics targeted Logan and Jake because he believed they were leveraging their YouTube fame to enter the sport and earn huge amounts of money, while lifelong fighters struggled to make a fraction of that. At the time, he viewed it as unfair to those who had devoted their entire careers to boxing and felt it showed a lack of respect toward the sport. Hearing that from someone who previously believed Jake Paul was damaging boxing highlights just how much his view has shifted.
Because check this out. Tank ain't gonna lose this fight. Hell no. Hell no. Tank ain't losing this fight. Too many holes. Man, Jake don't have enough experience. Yeah, man, this gonna be taking candy from a baby. You know, Jake is missing the rules. See, this is what happened when you don't grow up in the game. When you don't grow up in the game, man, at a young age, this is what happens. You know?
Crawford explained that his new outlook developed after observing Jake Paul up close in training. What he noticed was not a social media personality going through the motions, but someone approaching the craft with genuine commitment. That is when his opinion began to shift. He shared that once he saw the level of dedication and attention Jake was giving to improving his skills, he realized the progress was real and said he could see him getting better. Those words carry weight coming from Crawford, who is known for holding himself to the highest standards, staying undefeated, focusing on every small detail, and competing with a relentless mindset. For a fighter like that to acknowledge growth in Jake says a lot. He is not labeling him as top tier, but he is recognizing that the work being put in is serious and legitimate.
Ryan Garcia fights for DAZN, and Jake Paul fights on Netflix. I mean, that's pretty much the bottom line. Golden Boy has a contract with DAZN. Ryan Garcia has a contract with Golden Boy. And that's just the way it is. I mean, this is business. You know, Ryan Garcia is probably going to go on a rant saying, oh, you're keeping me from making money and this and that and fighting. No, you have to go by the law, by the rules. You have a contract with.
Crawford witnessed it firsthand during his trip to Puerto Rico, where he attended Jake Paul fight against Ryan Borland. That evening, Jake delivered a clear knockout, and Crawford, who was in town for a convention, made sure to study what was happening in the ring. He later shared that while watching from his seat, he realized Jake carries real power in his right hand. That moment stood out to him. He understands that Jake is not facing the toughest opponents yet, but he views those matchups as part of the normal progression fighters take as they build their careers step by step.
Out of like the influencer world would be the most lucrative thing for my career, and I think I was the only one who like actually wanted to do it. and actually wanted to go all the way. And that's why I set the goal for myself early to become a world champion, set the bar extremely high.
Crawford has said he now understands that Jake is not attempting to jump ahead of the process. He is not acting like he is prepared to face someone like Usyk or Canelo right away. Instead, he is taking bouts that fit his current stage and showing progress with each appearance. Crawford pointed out that many fans keep pushing for Jake to share the ring with Alexander Usyk, but he believes that is not how the sport works, and that a fighter must climb the ladder step by step. After seeing him compete in person, he admitted his level of respect grew even more. That marks a major shift from the days when he would dismiss Jake whenever his name was mentioned. At this point, Crawford is no longer just giving him credit. He is also open to the possibility of facing him. And with Gervonta Davis potentially no longer in line for that matchup, the opportunity seems more realistic than before.
Kidnapping, all sorts of crazy stuff, guys. If this is true, I just talk about just fumbling the bag. One of the biggest financial opportunities of his career, and he's about to ruin it. It's being reported that Jake's team is offering Ryan Garcia as a replacement for a...
When Crawford initially learned about a possible matchup between Jake Paul and Tank, he reacted by calling it unbelievable, and honestly, the reaction made sense. The size difference alone raises eyebrows. Jake competes at cruiserweight and walks around close to 200 pounds, while Tank campaigns at 135, which creates a serious physical gap. Still, Jake showed no hesitation. During an interview on Netflix, after hearing Crawford describe the fight as crazy, Jake responded by saying the event would feature two of the biggest names in American boxing and described it as an even contest because of Tank's skill and experience. At the same time, he pointed to his natural size as the factor that could balance everything out and said that unpredictability is what would make the fight so compelling, since no one could be certain how it would unfold.
See this footage? Look at Tank. Now, if you know what you're looking at, the guy must be around 150 right now, 153, something like that. And you can really tell when he's sideways. When you look at him sideways and see the depth. See, from the front view, you can't really tell. But when he turns sideways, the guy is a wrecking ball. He's literally a baby.
That response fits Jake's style: confident, strategic, and always thinking about the spotlight. Then the conversation took another turn when he was asked about facing Terence Crawford, and he answered without any pause, saying he would absolutely take that fight and was ready to make it happen. It was a matchup few expected to hear mentioned. Crawford stands at 42 wins without a loss, recognized as one of the top pound-for-pound fighters in the sport and widely viewed as one of the most well-rounded boxers of his era. At the same time, he is getting older, while Jake remains younger, physically strong, and naturally bigger for the division. From a business and publicity perspective, the idea of that fight lines up in a major way.
He's 5'5" with a 67-inch arm reach. But as you can see here, he's working on his versatility. He's now working on fighting orthodox. He's naturally a southpaw. Now he's working on fighting orthodox.
In terms of legacy, the idea sounds unbelievable, and that may be exactly why both fighters seem willing to consider it. Jake also revealed that a showdown with Canelo was close to being finalized before the Mexican star decided against it, and instead reached an agreement with Saudi boxing figure Turki Alashik. Jake said he still believes a fight between him and Canelo would be enormous because they are two of the biggest attractions in the sport, and he views it as a serious test for himself. However, he made it clear that his attention is set on November 14th, and his priority is handling Tank before thinking about anything else.
Beats Jake Paul?
Do I think he beats Jake? Yeah. I mean,
it's a huge size advantage, though.
It is, but I think Tank got the skills to make sure he come out on top.
Do you think that Jake has gone better?
Yeah, I think actually Jake got tremendously better from the time frame that he started till now. And in the right situation, I also could see him become a world champion.
Really?
If the Tank fight falls through, then the question becomes who steps in, and Crawford appears to be the ideal option. He carries status-proven skill and elite technique, while Jake delivers massive viewership, strong promotion, and wide mainstream attention. Put them together, and the event would attract huge interest, and both sides understand that reality. It also shows how fast the landscape in boxing can change when the right financial opportunity and timing come together.
It's going to happen with a 135-pounder going up against a 200-pounder. I think it's not a real fight. Jake just too big. Tank ain't gonna be able to get in from that jab. Jake land one good punch on Tank.
Just a year ago, Crawford wouldn't even mention Jake in connection with boxing. Now he's openly saying that if the circumstances are right, he would take the fight. It no longer feels far-fetched. It's purely business. And it's easy to understand why. Crawford has achieved it all. Undisputed titles in 2 divisions, an undefeated record, and top pound-for-pound recognition. There are very few matchups left that truly excite fans or offer the payday he deserves. Facing Jake Paul would generate massive pay-per-view numbers. At this stage, it's less about proving himself and more about capitalizing on his legacy while the opportunity is prime.
My only concern is, the gloves. You understand what I'm saying? Because we don't fight in 12-ounce gloves. We don't use 12-ounce gloves. That's training gloves. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, that's 2 pounds away from...
Anthony Joshua has weighed in as well, with 2 former UFC fighters, including Nate Diaz, being considered as possible replacements for Gervonta Davis. The real shock was Joshua's name coming up. Following online speculation and some playful exchanges, Eddie Hearn confirmed that talks about a potential matchup between Jake Paul and Anthony Joshua have actually occurred. Joshua's response was straightforward and confident. Just tell him the time and place.
Snapping, all sorts of crazy stuff, guys. If this is true, I just talk about just fumbling the bag. One of the biggest financial opportunities of his career, and he's about to ruin it. It's being reported that Jake's team is offering Ryan Garcia as a replacement for a...
That's the kind of response only Joshua can give. Calm, direct, and fully prepared. It wasn't a negotiation tactic or a social media tease. Just a clear statement from one of boxing's top heavyweights saying that if the numbers work, he's ready. Eddie Hearn pointed out that while the matchup sounds exciting, making it happen isn't straightforward. He told TV that several factors still need to align, mainly the complicated business side. The biggest hurdle is that Jake Paul has a contract with Netflix, while Joshua is tied to DAZN, 2 competing streaming platforms. Without an agreement or some kind of crossover deal between them, the fight can't progress beyond talks. Hearn added that without DAZN's approval or a deal both sides accept, there's no way to move forward.
Come out and put this fight in serious peril. So much so that reports have been saying that, hey, Jake Paul's team have already started contacting fighters about being a replacement, whether it be for this November 14th date or maybe a date in December. And the 5 names they already contacted are some of the biggest names in the sport.
Here's where things get serious. Hearn revealed that he has already been in contact with Jake Paul's manager, Nikisa Badarian, about the potential fight. This isn't just wishful speculation anymore. Real discussions are underway. Hearn confirmed that Joshua has been updated on the situation and replied immediately with his usual confidence saying, "Just let me know where and when."
He's a marketing genius, but when it comes to people that picking whose fights, I can't get my head around it. If Tank hits him clean, he's going to sleep. He'll have a lot of smoke blowing up his backside by his coaching team and people like that, but when he gets hit for real, 10 ounce, well, I'm told it's 16 ounce gloves now, it's like an exhibition. Right. I'm told it's big gloves and head guards. He's gonna...
Tank naturally fights at lightweight, while Jake weighs close to 200 pounds, making the matchup more of a spectacle than a typical fight. It may not have been the most practical pairing, but it certainly kept fans talking. With the Davis fight now uncertain, Jake's team is actively looking for another opponent who can headline on a similar scale. Jake didn't hesitate to confirm this himself, telling Sky Sports that discussions about a potential fight with Anthony Joshua are real. He added that their teams are already in talks and working to try to make the bout happen next year.
And the situation, you guys can look into it. I didn't, you know me, I don't really speak about stuff outside the ring, but now I have to since it affects the ring, okay, and what happens in the ring. The fight may be canceled. It's a civil suit, from my understanding, and I don't want to, confuse you guys or misinform you guys. I didn't look into it much. But
true to form, Jake didn't stop there. He said, "It would be exciting to face Anthony Joshua after this fight, take a huge risk and a massive challenge, and step into a bout where hardly anyone thinks I have a chance of winning. That's what drives me. That's classic Paul, pursuing the impossible while keeping a straight face. He knows exactly how to build attention. A fight with Joshua would be one of the biggest boxing events of the decade, and from a competitive angle, it's completely wild. Joshua stands 6 feet 6 inches, weighs 250 pounds, is an Olympic gold medalist, and a 2-time unified heavyweight champion. Jake, despite his growth, is still a cruiserweight level fighter with fewer than 10 professional fights. Yet his fearlessness in going after high-stakes opportunities is exactly why fans keep tuning in.
We know it's early. Less than 2 weeks, no fighter is going to take that. There will be no fight if it isn't Tank Davis on November 14th. As this moment, there has been no cancellation, but it seemingly is in the direction of Tank Davis not fighting Jake Paul on the 14th. So no fighter, legitimate fighter, is going to step in on 2 weeks' notice.
Not everyone shares the excitement. Former UFC champion Michael Bisping spoke candidly about Jake Paul's next steps and didn't hold back. On his YouTube channel, Bisping said he feels no sympathy for Jake as he searches for a replacement for Gervonta Davis. He echoed what many in the fighting world have been thinking. The Paul versus Davis fight drew attention mainly out of curiosity. Fans were eager to see how Tank's skill would match up against Jake's eyes, but without that specific matchup, the buzz simply isn't as strong.
The retort would be there's such a big weight discrepancy there, right? That's what some people...
Yeah, but I'm pretty sure Tank probably sparred like heavyweights or light heavyweights and things like that.
Damn,
so
really?
it's probably nothing that he never seen before. I'm pretty sure Jake never fought nobody that little.
No, it's good. So that's the fascinating part about it.
I feel like it's more so harder for Jake to fight a smaller guy like that.
Bisping also highlighted an issue that has frustrated traditional fight fans for a long time: Jake's choice of opponents. With every fight, questions about legitimacy arise. He's faced retired MMA fighters, older boxers, and fighters beyond their peak. It's more about entertainment than top-level competition. While Bisping acknowledged that Jake has gotten better, he remains skeptical that Paul would ever take on someone genuinely dangerous like Francis Ngannou.
Jake Paul versus Tank Davis November the 14th fight is off. The Jake Paul team have now reached out to Anthony Joshua, Floyd Mayweather, Ryan Garcia and Edgar Berlanga to replace Tank Davis, who is being sued for assault on his ex-girlfriend.
He explained it in his typical blunt style, saying that facing Francis Ngannou, a fighter who challenged Tyson Fury and even floored him, and who many believe barely lost that fight, would be out of Jake Paul's league. Bisping insisted there's no way Jake would step into the ring with him. But he added that if it somehow happened, he would be the first to admit he was wrong.
Is this really the case? It has been reported by a couple of online periodicals, and if this is the case, then it says something about influencer, crossover and exhibition boxing. Because the reports are that the Jake Paul and Gervonta Davis fight is light by 6,000 tickets.